So in 2018, when I was teaching at Harvard, I taught a class called Museums and Material Culture, and I assigned Afric-American Picture Gallery. And my students loved it, I loved it. And so when Alexandra reached out to me to curate an exhibition at Winterthur, I had the idea of using it as inspiration for this exhibition, and I've been able to engage with it in a new way.
Almost unknown, the Afric-American Picture Gallery is Dr. Jonathan Michael Square's envisioning of William J. Wilson's 1859 essay of the same name, using Winterthur's collection to bring that essay to life in the galleries.
The first phase of our work together was actually really just giving Jonathan time to get to know the Winterthur collection.
It was very important that what was special about him engaging in being a guest curator for the show is that we were going to get a unique vision that was generated from him and not set by Winterthur.
I've never had that kind of freedom before. Normally, there's some parameters put around the kind of exhibition that came out. Me, Alexandra, and Kim were wandering through the house one day, and we stumbled upon this trivet. It was shaped like a Sankofa symbol.
It is the object that, in many ways, inspired Jonathan in this exhibition. No one at Winterthur even associated it with the Sankofa symbol, and it is in the shape of a heart, essentially, and that's what we thought it was. But it turns out it's very similar to a West African symbol called the Sankofa. And that symbol represents the idea of looking to the past to go forward.
In my past curatorial work, one thing that I've done is paired historical objects with contemporary art, and I wanted an exhibition solely of historical objects because I wanted people to understand that the conversations that we're having now were happening in the past.
And I thought, well, this is a great sort of vehicle for starting the structure of this exhibition. You know, this concept of looking forward, but always keeping history in mind and looking back.
The text is a fictional gallery of what William J. Wilson imagined an African-American museum would be. He writes under the pen name Ethiop, and this is right before the Civil War that he's writing this. So there wasn't an African-American picture gallery. And this text is his idea of what it would have been.
I was able to thoughtfully engage with Winterthur's collection and choose objects that match the essay.
He was able to move through the collection at Winterthur and describe this fictional gallery that we encounter in this serial text.
We follow this narrative line of descriptions through the essay, which takes you on this experiential journey in a way that is a bit fantastical, a bit provocative. It's like walking into the text and walking through the text.
We wanted to create that feeling and have the visitor in the gallery experience that journey. And to do that, we really relied on design.
Were you there the first time when I was up there and I just drew on the plan?
Hangs over the graphic,
Yeah.
like it's a drape. So the graphic is this whole wall.
It'd be projecting down, not
You
up.
have to block out the light that is being positioned here to show the flickering light of the cabin window.
Line actually goes out here,
Yep.
where I had him cut it, and then I thought we'd do a.
Jonathan came to us with some very specific design ideas. He said everything from funhouse to horror movie. He had these different ideas in his head.
For me, the text has a sort of sinister, macabre quality. There was a reason why he was playing with the human psychology in that way, and I want the design of the exhibition to do similar things.
Best design direction I've ever been given because, you know, that could go really bad. But I understood what it was, and what immediately popped into my mind was the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. It's got these sort of fantastical environments that are kind of grounded in reality, but they're so exaggerated and stretched. Shadows are very long, windows are trapezoidal and not square. So it was a really kind of guiding principle in how I developed the wall shapes.
When you see something through an opening in a wall, that was thought through. It's not haphazard, it's intentional. And whether you look through it or you don't, it changes how you experience the space.
Sequence itself was determined by the essay. It's this intersection of spaces that I wanted to make slightly wacky.
Here's an essay that is envisioning something that never was. And we had a small group of objects that were going to tell the story, but there's so much more in the essay. There are all these characters that float in and out of the essay. There's moments that are really descriptive, but they aren't referring to any kind of object. Without design, we couldn't tell the story.
So this is the original essay. And when you get to picture 25 in his serial, he begins to talk about the visitors and a conversation they have in the gallery. And it's a number of people. And they show up in different places with descriptors that give you an idea of who these characters are. I do a lot of reference, and we've got these kind of real exaggerated pieces. So when I'm looking at these things, all of these references become part of the character. They describe and animate the character in my thinking as I'm drawing. The tall lady is going to be real tall, and the stout lady's going to be real short and heavy.
It was all those subtleties in the creative process that we don't necessarily want people to be conscious of, but they've been imperative to accomplish the goals in the gallery.
And they will become silhouettes that we animate like stick puppets for these films. Put little rivets here so we could move his joints around so he could bend over, pull his glasses up to his face, and they will swing in this kind of rough cut looking old-fashioned stick puppet animation. In a lot of cases, I'm brought in as the graphics person or the mural person. This one, we all had a part in saying, hey, what about sound immersion? What about film immersion? What about lights and moving lights? We're creating more in this one than we ever have with all aspects of experiential graphics.
So all these elements are coming together to really create an experience for the visitor. And so in a gallery that I've literally put almost 600 ceramics in before, this gallery is only going to have about 30 objects in it.
We work in the highest level of interactivity, which is, I have an object that doesn't move. How do I make that interesting, and how do I engage a visitor and get them to move around it?
We have a lot of real estate to support the object within, and you have to be mindful of that and make sure that your graphics are not overwhelming or becoming the show. It's the objects that you're drawing attention to.
It's a sort of an emphasis through isolation. You're focusing on an object, but it's still in a space. But that space is pushing you either towards that object or enhancing that object in some way that it brings a sense of importance to it.
Because we chose this particular aesthetic, and because the text is in a serial form, I felt it was like a stage play. So stage lighting, which is so dramatic, is the great additive to direct you in the space.
In my mind, I'm thinking stage sets and how light is used literally in theater to set mood, to be dramatic, to get the story told. So we are employing things that are much more theatrical than we might normally.
You'd be amazed. What seems like a bland space suddenly comes alive through just the application of light.
Afric-American Picture Gallery is having a moment, and I think everyone should be engaging with it. I'm sort of engaging with it as a curator, and the purpose of this exhibition is to spark conversations. I want people to walk away with questions. If William J. Wilson were to walk through my exhibition, it's my hope that he would feel like I did his legacy justice and I was bringing his ideas and writing to life.